Hello everyone. Next presentation regarding all our concept of biodiversity. Biodiversity is the foundation of ecosystem services to which human well-being is intimately linked. No feature of earth is more complex, dynamic and varied than the layer of living organism that occupy its surfaces and its seas, and no feature of experiencing more dramatic change at the hands of human than this extraordinary singularly unique feature of earth, the layer of living organism, the biosphere, through the collective metabolic activities of its innumerable plants, animals, and microbes physically and chemically united the atmosphere, geosphere, and hydrosphere into an environmental system within which millions of species, including humans, have thrived. That breathable air, potable water, fertile soils, productive lands, beautiful seas, and the equitable climate of Earth's recent history and other ecosystem services are manifestation of the working of life. It follows that large scale human influences over this biota have tremendous impacts of human well-being. It also follows that the nature of these impacts, good or bad, in within the power of humans of influence. Introduction regarding biodiversity. The term biodiversity was first coined by Walter G. Rosin in 1986. The atmosphere comprises of a complex collections in innumerable organisms known as biodiversity, which constitutes the vital life support for survival of human race. Biological diversity, abbreviated as biodiversity, represents the sum total of various life forms such as unicellular fungi, that is protozoa, bacteria, and multicellular organisms such as plants, fishes, and that is all our mammals, animals at various biological levels including genes, habitats, and ecosystem. Concept of biodiversity and their types. Biodiversity is the variety of life on Earth. The definition of biodiversity is the variability among living organisms from all sources, including inner area and terrestrial, marine, and other aquatic ecosystem, and the ecological complexes of which they are part. This includes diversity within species, between species, and the ecosystem. The importance of this definition is that it draws the attention to many dimensions of biodiversity. It explicitly recognizes that every biota can be characterized by the taxonomic, ecological, and genetic diversity, and then that way these dimensions of diversity vary over space and the time is a key feature of biodiversity. Thus, only a multidimensional assessment of biodiversity can provide insights into the relationships between changes in biodiversity and changes in ecosystem functioning and ecosystem services. So, biodiversity is the variety of life on earth. For any kind of animal or plant, each individual is not exactly the same as any other, nor are species or ecosystems. Biodiversity is generally described at three levels: genetic biodiversity, species diversity, and ecosystem diversity. Types of biodiversity, that is again we have to be already seen, that is genetic biodiversity, species biodiversity, and ecosystem biodiversity. In that particular system, the all over systems of biodiversity as shown. Genetic biodiversity, these are the pictures of all over animals which is to be independent or genetic issues. That's why it is going to be uh, coming on earth, or it is going to be birth on earth, which is connecting to each other animals. These are the pictures of species biodiversity. So monkeys or donkeys or other insects which has to be species biodiversity. Biodiversity includes all ecosystem managed or unmanaged. Sometimes biodiversity is perceived to be a relevant features of only unmanaged ecosystem, such as wetlands, natural preserves, or national parks. This is incorrect. Managed system, be they plantation, farms, croplands, aquaculture sites, then rangelands, or even urban parks of urban ecosystem have their own biodiversity. Given that cultivated systems alone the now account for more than 24% of Earth's terrestrial surface, it is critical that any decision concerning biodiversity or ecosystem services address the maintenance of biodiversity in this largely anthroposphere system. Next one is ecosystem diversity, which has to be shown the number of pictures in that particular ecosystem, the number of genetic system and number of animals is available. Ecosystem or habitat biodiversity. Ecosystem is the structure and the functional unit of biosphere. Ecosystem diversity is defined as the aggregation of various habitats, community types, and abiotic environmental in a green in a community types of abiotic environment in a given area. India has one of the biggest ecosystem diversity ranging from the deserts, plains, hills and mangroves, rainforests to cold Himalayas. Distribution of biodiversity. Biodiversity is not evenly distributed, rather, it varies greatly across the globe as well as within regions. Terrestrial biodiversity is thought to be up to 25 times greater than ocean biodiversity. The study of the spatial distribution of organisms, species, and ecosystem is the science of biogeography. Biodiversity and threats, it is the shown in it's all over depends on environmental conditions, that is indoor and outdoor conditions. Threats of biodiversity is habitat destructions. Important to protect habitat in order to protect biodiversity within it. Huge pressure from the world's rapidly increasing population. Global climate change. Change in a biotic element of ecosystem leading to biotic change. Habitat fragmentation from human activity reduces ability to habitat to support species. Pollution. Introduction of pollutants such as nutrients overloading with nitrate fertilizer as well as more immediately harmful chemicals. Overexploitation. This includes the illegal wildlife trade as well as overfishing, logging of tropical hardwoods, etc. Alien species introduced by humans to region where there are number of natural predators and disease, that is the reduction in habitat causing high population densities encourages spread of diseases. In spite of many tools and data sources, biodiversity remains difficult to quantify precisely, but precise answers are seldom needed to advise an effectively understanding of where biodiversity is, how it is changing over space and time, the drivers responsible for such change, the consequences of such a change of ecosystem services and human well-being, and the response option is available. The habitat, whenever the habitat is going to be lost, the number of dangerous system is going to be uh, created, and it's all over depends on weather conditions, then and indirectly it is affected on animals and birds' life. These are the all over man-made actions which has to be destroyed all over plants, all over biodiversity, which is to be harmful and dangerous system to all our animals which has to be live in particular farm, that's why it is dangerous action by all over man-made. Habitat loss means it can be described when an animal loses their home. Every animal in the animal kingdom has a niche, there in their animal community, and without their habitat they no longer have a niche. Reasons of habitat loss by humans. First one is agriculture and farmer. This is the reason. Second one is harvesting natural resources for personal use. This is second reason. Third reason is for industrial and urbanization development. Due to that number of reasons, the all over harvesting is going to be vanished. Habitat destruction is currently ranked as the primary causes of species extinctions worldwide. For example of this particular habitat loss, the impact upon China's panda, once found across the nation. Now it's only found in fragmented and isolated regions in the southwest of the country. As a result of widespread deforestation in the 20th century. There are natural causes too. Habitat destructions through natural processes such as volcanism, fire, and climate change is well documented in the fossil records. One study shows that fragmentation of tropical rainforests in Europe 3000 million years ago led to a great loss of ambient diversity. These are the number of pictures where is the higher amount of fire is going to be generated. For example, in Feb or March month of this year, the in Australia the higher amount of fire is created in number of forests, and in that particular fire system the number of higher amount of and number of animals is going to be died, and all our system, farm system or forest system is going to be vanished. So this is the example. Solution on for this: protecting remaining intact section of natural habitat. And again solution is reduce human population and expansion of urbanization and industries. Next solution is educating the public about the importance of natural habitat and biodiversity. So this is most important solution. Next, solution to habitat loss can include planting trees, planting home gardens so as to reduce need for man to need large lands for agriculture farms which lead to habitat loss. So this is patching. Due to this patching, the animals is going to be completely safely fed. Batching is the hunting and harvesting taking of wild plants or animals, such as through hunting, harvesting, fishing, and trapping. History of batching is millions of years ago in the Stone Age, followed through the ages to even the tribal natives. But it was during the late Middle Ages that batching became a punishable offense. So look at this picture. The number of due to the man, the number of animals is going to be died, and from that animals, the number of organs and number of parts of their bodies is going to be used for other applications. So this is the shameless activity for all over losses of biodiversity or losses of forests. Why patching is done? Patching is done for large profits gained by the illegal sale or trade of animal parts, meat, and pelts. Exists because there is a demand for these products caused by a lack of education or discredit for the low amongst The buyer. Many cultures believe that certain animal parts have medicinal value. Patching is not limited to animals, it's also for plants too. These three of the most often watched species in the park are glass that block ozone and ginseng. These are the number of different level plants which has to be available for which has to be patching is not limited to animals. How does poaching affect the environment? Poaching or illegal hunting causes animals in dangers for of being extinct. If more animals become extinct, there is a description in the food chain, and that will cause major problems in our ecosystem, resulting eventually in new adaptation of animals and or species beyond human control. Marching results in animals being hunted too soon for them to have time to reproduce and repopulate. Recent issues on biodiversity. Some 75% of the genetic biodiversity of croplands been lost in the past century. Some scientists estimate that as many as 3 species per hour are going extinct and 20,000 extinctions occur each year. Roughly one third of the world's coral reef system have been destroyed or highly degraded. About 24% of mammals and 12% of bird species are currently considered to be globally threatened. More than 50% of the world's wetlands have been drained, and population of inland water and wetland species have declined by 50% between 1970 and 1999. Conservation of biodiversity, restoration of biodiversity, imparting the environmental education, that is enacting, straightening and enforcing environmental legislation, population control, reviewing the agriculture practice, controlling urbanization, conservation through biotechnical. So these are the all over system which has to be available in our India. Biodiversity is going to be available in our India. This is the chart and categories: mammals, birds, reptiles, amphibians and freshwater fish. You have to be seen that. Next, the 10 biography regions of India. These are the all over number of spots or locations where biography regions is reserved for the system. India figured at two hotspots, the Western Ghats and Eastern Himalayas, in an identification of 25 of world's biological richest and most threatened ecosystem. Western Ghat system, which has to be shown in internal maps. The Western Ghats face a tremendous population pressure. The forests of Western Ghats and Sri Lanka have been dramatically impacted by demands for agriculture and timber. The eastern Himalayas have. The Himalayas is the world's highest mountains, including Mount Everest. Abrupt rise in rise of mountains results in diversity of ecosystem that range from alluvial grasslands and subtropical broad leaves forests to upland meadows above the tree lines. Biodiversity in Maharashtra. Flora of Maharashtra is heterogeneous in composition. In 2012, in recorded the thick forest area in the state was 61,939 kilometers, which was about 20.13% of the state's geographical area. There are three main public forestry situations in the Maharashtra. That is Forest Department, MFD, the Forest Department Corporation of Maharashtra, that is FDCM, and the Directorate of Social Forestry, that is SFD. These are three public forestry institutions in our Maharashtra. Convention on Biodiversity is the Convention of Biodiversity is known informally as the Biodiversity Convention is multilateral trading, and the convention has three main goals. These are goals which has to be shown in following. And the all over system have conclusion. The biodiversity is a concept that has no general definition. Usually it is used in a context that stresses the need for attention in our living environment and the sustainable use of natural resources. Biodiversity can be divided in different types such as habitat, species, and genetic diversity. The integrated approaches used in coastal zone management in an adequate method in dealing with the matter of biodiversity. So these are all our information regarding biodiversity. Thank you.